I know that you have small business people that are listening to this, right? And it's very important to understand, since I'm a small business person myself, the more successful my contractor is, the more proposals I put out and we win, the more successful he is, the more successful I am. That's the way that I run my business.
Hey guys, welcome to the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast. My name is Rick Meekins. I'm the managing partner at Epiphany and your host today. In the studio, we've got Jonathan Goodman. How are you today, sir?
Fantastic. Very happy to be here, Rick.
Happy to see you, man. Good to see you. Haven't seen you since last year,
Yeah.
as these things go, right?
Lots of stuff happened. Lots of stuff.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Before we get into it, why don't you give the audience a little bit of a background on who you are and what you do and where you came from?
Right. So, I may look 30, but I'm not. I'm 53. I
Right.
was in the pre-dot-coms and the dot-coms. My background at that time was graphic design, but I went immediately into understanding and learning HTML, and that's how I got that job in the dot-coms. Then, of course, we had the dot-com crash, and I went to work for a couple of Fortune 500 companies, helping with their e-commerce systems. That's what I was doing during the dot-coms. And then I went off, in the meantime, got my Master's of Science and my MBA in Entrepreneurial Studies, then decided to leave corporate after 20 years and go into entrepreneurial ventures myself. I ran an e-commerce system for fireplace and barbecue supplies, and then I kind of built Halyard Consulting, which we'll get into more. That originally started off as an SEO and website company, and now it's an AI integrated solutions for small businesses. I'm excited to talk about that. Then I broke off and started Trigonal Gallery because my great aunt left me a nice hefty amount of art from the 1940s and 50s. And I opened up a gallery in Brooklyn. Then COVID hit. In between that, of course, I was dealing with trying to get a 3-day music festival launched in New Jersey around cannabis, which in the East Coast is very difficult to do. But that unfortunately got canceled due to COVID as well. And the gallery had to close, the physical gallery. And then we went into NFTs with the artists that we had under our gallery. And from there, Trigonal then became an AI-generated e-commerce retail. So I pulled back in all my e-commerce skills. And so now I have Halyard Consulting, which is an AI integrated small business AI integrated service for small business, and Trigonal Gallery, which is a AI generated e-commerce retail.
Wow. That's awesome. You've had a journey.
Oh,
It's like you've been all over the place. Now tell me something. I mean, it's like one thing to go out, start a business, start a couple of businesses, but you've done a number of different things. I mean, what is it? What is it that's driving you?
I have a passion. I have a passion for art. I'm also a futurist, right? So, graduating from art school and then finding my way into the dot-coms, I didn't even really understand. I thought everybody was getting into the dot-coms, but I was way ahead of everyone. And still I find that I'm doing that. Cryptocurrency, I'm way ahead of everybody. I'm involved in coins that people have no idea, but they have, good, solid, things behind them that are going to push them forward in the next 10 years. NFTs, I got in early also. That was incredible. And now AI. So a lot of it is driven just by my understanding of the future and where we are going. Some of it's not great, but some of it will be good. And that kind of really, if I can incorporate my skills in e-commerce and my understanding of art, that's the sweet spot for me. I'm so excited to be working in what I'm doing now is like the most exciting thing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. One of the I want to get into Halyard. I want to get into NFTs, but one of the things that I see a lot of times, with entrepreneurs like yourself, it's like you go in, you've got this vision, and you want to execute that vision. I mean, what are some of the things that you've had to that you put in place, or what are some of the tools that you put in place in order to make sure or give yourself the best likelihood of success? I mean, it's one thing to put energy behind it. It's like go 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 go. Let's make that happen. But it's like none of us know how to do everything, or most of us don't know how to do everything. Well, I should say. I mean, what's your secret sauce?
I'll tell you something. Getting out of my MBA, right? Graduating from my MBA, I only learned two things. I absorbed everything, but I learned two things. You need a good accountant and you need a good lawyer. And if you have those two things together, my entrepreneurial experience, their understanding of accounting and legal really helps tremendously. And then it's really been a growth experience. It's been understanding, and particularly now after COVID, because I lost $2.5 million through my venture with the music festival that never actually happened. So that was an incredibly devastating loss. But understanding that, and I want to just say this to all the entrepreneurs that are listening, there's money out there. There's money out there from grants, there's money out there federally, there's money out there from your state, from your city. There are angel investors that are interested. So you have to be able to tell your story really well, right? We always talk about pitch, the elevator pitch, right? You got yourself a little bit of time. I'll never forget, I was in Las Vegas for an event and I bumped into, I can't remember what his name is, but he's a big salesman. Like he's written books, the Little Red Book of Sales, whoever that author is. And I bumped into him, and he had already, like, I had watched all of his programs, all of his stuff. And he always says, listen, the worst thing that you could ever do is meet somebody and say, oh, whatever I do, it doesn't really matter. You're the important one. I'm shaking your hand. That's the wrong thing. At that moment, when you're meeting somebody important like that, you need your sales pitch. And so once that happened, once I shook his hand and he was like, I'm so glad to meet you. What do you do? And he goes, oh, no. I said, oh, don't worry about me. And that was the wrong thing. And I walked away and I said, you know what? From now on, I'm always going to know what my sales pitch is. And that's the critical thing. You have to be able to talk to everybody, right? That's the other thing, is networking. I think a lot of people don't understand how to network. They go to networking events, they go to the bar, they get themselves a drink, they stand at a table, and they're not moving around. You have every 5 minutes you should be moving around and talking to a different person. If you meet somebody, you know that they're going to be a great client. Take their card, say thank you very much. I will catch up with you, via email or via phone. Move on to the next person. It's so critical, but it takes a lot of self propulsion, right? Propulsion. You have to. We're all intimidated. We all have self-confidence issues, right? You have to work through all of that to be able to say, I've got to go up and I've got to meet this person, shake this person's hand, and even if they give me a face, even if I know that they're not interested, still talk to them and give them your pitch.
Wow, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. It's interesting. The networking thing, I can totally relate to that. It's like you go out and it's like you you kind of get into that corner. You get like one or two people, and you just start talking to them, or you see your friends that you've seen at the last events and that sort of thing, and just kind of get tied up. And yeah, I mean, it makes for an unproductive time, But there's so many people out there that just to start a conversation with. It doesn't mean you're going to close a deal like
Right.
just like that, but
Right.
you've got to be able to plant seeds.
Yep.
You're not gonna produce fruit if you don't plant seeds, right?
Right. And you have to go in with a positive attitude, right?
Yeah.
I went to a networking event recently. It was the big, big, big networking event. There were probably like 70 people there.
Uh-huh.
And some people, you would walk up to them, they had a frown on their face. They didn't really want to be there. If you don't want to be at a networking event, don't be at a networking event, right? But if you go in with a very positive attitude and you have a stack of cards and your goal is to hand out that stack of cards and then head home, right? That's the other thing, right?
Mhm.
Some people are like, if an event starts at 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, they're still getting, they're getting their next drink. No, 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 no. This is work. You get all the
Yes.
cards, you make all the connections, and you
Yes.
go home and you start writing your emails right there. But I will
Yes.
say AI helps tremendously.
Yes, yes, we are gonna get into that. Was that Jeffrey Gittimore that you met?
Yes, 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 exactly.
Yeah,
Oh, wow, you really got that. Great
I
guy, really
remember that
nice guy.
guy.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's talk about Halyard. Let's get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, so Halyard started off as an SEO and website company. This is, 15 years ago. And I was, you know, 15 years ago when I was in my 30s, I had just come off of the .com, super important only to myself. And I didn't do those networking things, right? I didn't really get out there, and I joined networking groups, but I didn't really know how to explain to people the importance of SEO, the importance of having a good website. Now, and here's the other thing that, for those years that I was running it that way, I had I had competition from, left, right, and center from every country that wanted to do it cheaper and, using black hat techniques and, couldn't really I couldn't find my foothold. I had clients, but I didn't really have like the kind of interactions that I have with them now, right? So pivoting to AI has really allowed me to kind of sit down and focus on exactly what that client wants because I'm able to do so much, right? So, for instance, I have a client that's a contractor and he gets proposals. And the greatest thing that I'm doing for him right now is I'm responding to those proposals through his business and he's getting business from it, right? So we had this big conversation, in order for him to be successful, he has to respond to 30 proposals a month, of which he gets 10% of those. Generally, he wins. Well, I've done 3 proposals for him already, and he's won 2. So the proposals themselves are better. It's taking that work off of his desk and it's making them more successful. We got that third one is a big one. It's a $6 million project. It's a 2-year project to work on 3 bridges in Newark, New Jersey. Really, really exciting stuff. But also then that's specific to him, right? So a lot of people say like, oh, what do you do with AI? And I have to say back to them, well, what do you need with AI, right? What can I provide for you, right? Another client, he's trying to determine whether or not he wants to sell his business. So what's the best thing that I can provide for him? A business plan, a strategy document. Let's see, if you want to hold on to this for a year, for 5 years, how can we grow this, right? And all of that, like taking in all that information, putting that into the AI, creating a bot specifically for his business, and then producing those documents. It's incredible the speed and the rapidness and the clarity that I'm able to produce these documents is just incredible. I have another client, they're an educational client. They need grant writers, so I'm doing the grants for them. And AI is so expandable into everything that I'm able to do these things super easily. And then of course, it depends on the client how I'm getting paid, right? So for the contractor, it's a percentage. For the grant, it's a percentage. But for the other client that is trying to figure out what they're going to do on in a year or 2 years from now, that's on a monthly retainer. So it varies on the client, right? A lot of people, I've gotten into meetings and I'll say something and they're like, oh, so you're going to charge me X. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Let's work on this together. First of all, it's very exciting for me to see if I can actually achieve these things that you need me to do, right? Because everything is so new. AI has only been around for a year and a half. It's rapidly expanding, and what's going on, what I'm able to do this month, as opposed to what I was able to do a year and a half ago, is greatly, vastly improved, right? Every upgrade to these systems just shifts everything so much. And then, of course, we talk about, are you ready, right? So, are you ready for AI? A lot of that is psychological because everybody watches the news and they're like, AI is going to ruin the world. And you have to kind of calm them down and explain that AI is not going to ruin the world. You're not going to lose your job, but you do need to integrate with AI and you do need to work faster and work better, right?
Oh yeah. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, as you alluded to, I mean, it's so much. I mean, it's just like a brand new, precipice that we're jumping off. I mean, you're an early adapter. You're jumping in. You're making things happen. But for some of the folks that are going to be, I guess, looking for a better tested product, so to say. Kind of leaping that chasm, so to speak. How do we? What is that going to look like? What is that? I don't know if comfort zone is the right way to describe it, but how do we get into a place where it's just like, okay, I'm going to where's that first place I want to dip my toe in the water? Because I'm looking at it from the perspective two perspectives. One, as you said, how do I stay competitive? How do I stay relevant? How do I make sure that I'm able to deliver? At the same time, what is that true business benefit? How am I going to measure a real return on investment?
Yeah. Well, for me, it started internally, right? So working in Midjourney, building out art, putting that into the e-commerce systems in Trigonal, pillows and t-shirts and hats and everything that we're working on there. And then that got me interested into the Chat GPT and understanding how Chat GPT works. And I have a professional level Chat GPT, and then understanding how to build these individual GPTs specifically for you. And I'm sure if you're somebody who's been listening to what ChatGPT is doing, you're like, oh yeah, I can go into the ChatGPT store and I can find this GPT. Yeah, but what we're doing is we're taking a GPT and making it specific to you. So for me, even before I got my first client, the way that I started utilizing it is using it as a CRM. So I go onto LinkedIn, and if I'm having a conversation with somebody, I take all of their information on LinkedIn. I take all of their information from their website. I tell ChatGPT what the conversation has been so far, and I say, how can I be beneficial to this person? And it comes back, and because understand, let me back up a second, because my GPT has everything about me. It has my resume. It has the Halyard business plan. It has the Trigonal business plan. I own an investment in iBudju Cannabis. It has that. It has everything that I'm involved in. So it's very possible that somebody that I'm talking to on LinkedIn is more interested in investing in my cannabis products than they are in Halyard or Trigonal. That's great. The bot knows that, and they're able to say, this is how you should be talking to this person about this product. So just in me creating that CRM for myself internally, I now know the power of what I'm able to produce.
Wow, wow, wow. There's a little bit of a creep factor there. I've dumped all my stuff into the cloud. But there's the cost benefit, and there's got to be some level some level of security.
No,
With
my GPTs are private to me.
yeah.
Yeah, they're not available
So,
for sale
well,
anymore.
what? Do this if you can break it down for me. I mean, what is that experience like? You're saying it's private to you, meaning that nobody else can see it. So tell us more about that whole. Tell us a little about the experience. What does my GPT mean?
Yeah, fantastic. So think of AI, ChatGPT, as the Library of Congress. It's every book that has ever been published, right? But I don't need every book that's ever been published. What I need is the business section. And for my contractor, what I need is the business contractor section. So when I build the GPT, I'm basically saying your only concern is contractor business. And that allows it to focus in. It's no longer the Library of Congress. It's now very narrowly focused on exactly what I'm looking for it to do. It still has the ability, if I needed to suddenly talk about dentistry for some reason, maybe it's a dentist's office, it still has the ability to reach out there and say, most dentist offices commonly have X, Y, and Z, a lobby, a secretary area, a this, and this, right? It has the ability to reach out there, but I'm giving it very narrow instructions to be a business contract GPT.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what is next? I mean, it sounds like you're very very hands on,
Yeah.
with each of your clients right now. So how does that roll into something that scales for you?
Yeah, great question. So, first of all, first of all, I'm lazy. Um, You know, it's
That's
funny.
the
I got
mother
into
invention.
Oh, it is 100%. I love it. I sit on the couch most of the day watching YouTube videos, right? Just to learn everything.
Don't tell
Um,
my kids that.
yeah, but it's so important to understand what you want out of life in
Yeah.
in business, particularly, right? I had a conversation with a guy that I met at a networking party who also he builds apps, right? And he builds apps at the tune of $400,000. Well, that's great for him, and it's understandable. Like he has an office that he has to pay for in Manhattan. He has staff that he has to pay for and give healthcare. And not that I don't. I mean, I have a very much smaller staff, right? We're three people, right, total. But I also want to have a nice weekend. I want to not be stressed. I did the .coms where I worked 80 hours a week already. I've done all that. I've worked for corporate, coming in at 7 in the morning, leaving at 7 o'clock in the night. I work from home, which is a lot nicer because if I want to take a 2 hour break and go see a movie, I can go take a 2 hour break and go see a movie because then the work that I'm doing can be in the evening, right? Not going into the office is such a great thing for me, right? It's fantastic. So, that goal of I'm not looking to bilk people. I'll tell you a perfect example. So I had a lawyer for 20 years. And it started off, they had just opened up their place. And this isn't to badmouth any lawyers or anything like that. But I've been with them for 20 years. And about 15 years into it, they sent me a letter that said, hey, we charged you our original rate and we're going to have to charge you our new rate. Well, what's the difference? Well, our old rate was $150 an hour, and our new rate is $500 an hour. And I tried. I worked with them for another 2 years, and I finally said, you're bilking me. There's no difference of service. In fact, the services went down. They forgot to do a couple of things for me. So the services have gone down. You're charging me an exorbitant price. And that's not where I want to be. I want, at the end of the day, that guy, that $400,000 app guy, he wants to go to a bar and he wants to say, hey, I just charged the company $400,000. I want to say, when I go to a bar, not that I go to a bar, when I go to a bar, I want to be able to say, hey, I walked hand in hand with a company to grow their business over a period of time, and this is how successful they were. Not how successful I was, how successful they are. So that's really the key factor in all of this. I know that you have small business people that are listening to this, right? And it's very important to understand, since I'm a small business person myself, that the charge that you're going to get is going to be it's going to be equated into your success, right? The more successful my contractor is, the more proposals I put out and we win, the more successful he is, the more successful I am. That's the way that
Mhm.
I run my business.
I love it. I love it. That's interesting. I mean, you take ownership or you put skin in the game, with those two clients. I mean, how does that work for you? I mean, how does that feel?
Prior to I wouldn't be able to do this. I now have created a bot for the contractor that allows me to create a response to a proposal within a day.
Wow.
It would
Okay.
take him a week to do that response. And I wouldn't have been able to do it at all because I don't know how to respond to a contractor proposal, but the AI understands. So I'm putting all of my skills into the AI so that it's not costing a fortune when we write those proposals. And as far as I'm concerned, and we're getting on the phone on Friday, tomorrow, to discuss this, I'll do all 30 proposals. And if he gets 10% of that, I'll make a little percentage on each one. If it's a $6 million one, that could be $60,000, whatever it might be, right? I mean, let's work on figuring out how you're going to be successful, and then I'll be successful on the back of it. If I started charging, listen, I'm $300 an hour. You want to sit with me? It's $300 an hour. Or let's understand your business. Let's understand how you are successful, and then I will take money off the back end. Is it a risk? It would be a risk if I didn't have AI. If it took me a week for me to write a proposal like that, eh, that would not be I would not be successful. I would have to charge hourly. But this now with AI, I'm really able to do so many incredible things, working on so many different things. I mean, think about it. I've only recently pivoted to the AI. I already have 3 clients, and I have, I'm networking and I'm pushing myself and doing all this. I'm sure that by the end of the year, I'll have 20 clients. Do I need 40 clients? I don't think so. I think there's a stop point at some point. When I build this relationship and your company is growing, and whether it's residuals, whether it's a monthly retainer, whether it's a percentage of things won, it's fine. I mean, the money is good, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I don't need that
Uh-huh.
Porsche. I'm not interested in the Porsche.
I love it. I love it. This is really great stuff. Yeah, one of the things I was thinking about, and just trying to, again, just trying to wrap my head around the capabilities of AI. I've gone through like construction proposals, page after page, drawing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you're telling me you're turning these around in like a day or two, and it's like it kind of doesn't compute. I mean, what is help me understand better how AI is gonna do that. How is it gonna participate?
Well, think about it this way. it, and let's just talk about the contractor. The contractor has license, he has certificates, he has previous work that he has done. The proposal has, because it's a state contract, has specific prices that you have to pay your contractors, right? Your subcontractors, your electricians and your painters and your wood guys and all this different stuff. So me sitting there and going through all these things and calculating all this stuff out would take me days. I would have to hire somebody else, right? But with AI, I'm able to put in the proposal, put in all of his documentation, and then say, how much should we be charging for this? And the AI comes back and says, well, we really need to understand the square footage of the bridges, right? So then I do a little bit of research and I'm able to see that the 3 bridges are X, Y, and Z all combined. And what needs to be done? Well, then we go back into the proposal, and the AI goes back into the proposal and says, okay, these are the things that are being required during the proposal. These are the people that you're going to need to hire for that work. And because of the square footage, because of the 2-year time frame, because of all this, here is the number. And I'm not saying that it goes, it's not, it's not Robbie the robot and boop, 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 all these lights and things, come out and boom. I understand how to talk to the AI. I understand how to get the information out of it. And that's the critical thing, is that I've been now working on this for a year and a half. So I understand how to build the bot and also talk to the bot. And that allows me to really be a tertiary, worker in all of this. The contractor, the proposal, and then the AI. It's that 3. And my ability to talk to the AI and pull that out is the key.
Nice, nice, nice. What are the limitations or shortcomings or concerns you might have with it?
So the concerns are that I'm completely off base, but I'm not, right? So handing the proposal to the contractor and saying, hey, this is the biggest project that we've ever put in for. Other projects were 30,000, 50,000. This is $1 million. This is 2 years of work that needs to be done on these bridges. So, and since I've never done something like this, handing it back to him and expecting him to either say, holy mackerel, this is incredible, or we got so much work to do on this, this isn't even the right answer, right? But the response came back that, wow, this is pretty fantastic. It just needs to be cleaned up here, here, and here. And when we had that conversation tomorrow, so as you should know, I use Otter AI for everything. And Otter AI, and this is not to promote them, I'm not getting paid by them, but Otter AI is a meeting tool that's an AI, and it's listening to us right now. And so it will listen to that conversation. And instead of me trying to remember, trying to remember what he's telling me and writing it down, now I have everything there. The Otter AI will create a transcript. It will also create a summary, and all of that gets poured back into the AI bot and say, okay, now you understand what needs to be corrected. Let's correct it. It's incredible. There are no boundaries. And what's amazing is, so having come from the .coms, having come from when I graduated college in 1993, we were the first class to use the computer for art, for Illustrator, Photoshop. These were 1.0 applications. And I see the exact same thing with ChatGPT. We are only on ChatGPT 4, right? And some of you aren't even able to access 4 yet, right? Now I'm able to access 4 because I have the professional version. But where are we going to be when it's ChatGPT 10? What's that going to look like? Every single implementation, and they're making upgrades as we go along. So it's significantly, there wasn't this ability for GPTs a year and a half ago. There was nothing like that. And it's that growth that they are working on. And I'm focusing on ChatGPT, but I use other applications like Otter AI, like Midjourney, like other things like that. But yeah, I mean, where's this going? This is going to, listen, I think this is going to revolutionize small business entrepreneurship. That's where I really think that this is going to make the difference. I don't think there will be, you know, there will be large, big businesses integrating AI, and you will go on to Amazon in a year from now, and it will say, oh, you bought X, Y, and Z, and this is on sale and all that. Nobody cares about that, right? But in terms of what it can do for you as a small business owner, revolutionary, revolutionary.
I mean, think about it. It's one of these things that they're just like sliding into everything. I mean, this platform, Riverside, they've got some AI built, baked into it as well. It's like, once we're finished with this, it actually has an AI editor, which would go through and remove like all the blank spots and stuff like that. I mean, it's really cool. And it was like, it wasn't something that I was looking for. We've had the platform for quite a while, so this is kind of new in there. But it wasn't something I was looking for. But it's certainly something I can take advantage of. And
Right.
as I think
It's
about
just
my other,
helping you. It's just
right,
helping you,
exactly,
a little bit, right? Right now
yeah,
they integrated it and it's just helping you do these little things. But a year
yes,
from now, it's going to really do a lot for you.
I can't imagine. I can't
Yeah.
imagine. It's like you said. I mean, it's been around for a year and a half. We're on version, 4.0. I'm sure the software is helping to develop itself.
Well, that's the
yeah,
thing, is that, at some point we will get to AGI. And for those that don't know,
yeah,
that means artificial general intelligence. So that we move beyond the Library of Congress, and now it understands NASA, and now it understands Harvard, geophysics and all of this stuff, and it can understand it as a well-rounded individual. That will be revolutionary. A little bit like Marvel's Ultron there, but it will be, and it's going to solve a lot of problems. I mean, look, what was the news recently that they found like 2,300 new material connectors for products? Like, it's just incredible how it's being implemented. And once they connect that to the Hubble Space Station, the Hubble, all that stuff. Like, it's just going to be incredible, revolutionary. I mean, as it is with biology, all the sciences are going to take. We're going to basically have a leap, right? We're just going to one day, all of these things are going to be resolved. The cancer and the genetic issues and all of this, and it's all going to be because AI is able to do half of this stuff.
yep, yep. Here's a question for you. So, as a professional service provider, as a consultant, um, obviously, I mean, you've already taken that leap, but I mean, what do I think there's a fear, and probably, well-based fear. There's a fear that consultants, perhaps accountants, attorneys, et cetera, their jobs, I'm going to say their jobs are going to change significantly. What
Absolutely.
is
I
it going
mean,
to
a perfect.
take to keep
Yeah.
up, or to, continue to, have some level of differentiation in the marketplace?
Yeah, a perfect example. Let's go back to the lawyers, right? So I'm getting a new lawyer. I have a meeting. I had another lawyer. I fired that lawyer. I have another
Hmm.
lawyer coming in, and I'm going to work completely differently with this lawyer now. Instead of saying, "Hey, I want to open up." This is true. So I'm opening up Trigonal Foundation, right? It's going to be a nonprofit. If I said to the lawyer, "Hey, what do I need to do to open up that nonprofit?" She's charging me hourly. She's getting the information. I then have to read the information. I have to think about, all these different answers and everything like that. But if I said to the AI, how do I open up a nonprofit? It's giving me all the information. It's telling me what has to be done. And now I'm going to go back to the lawyer and say, you see this? This is what has to be done. You need to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to do A, B, and C, and we're going to do this together. And you're only going to charge me for X, Y, and Z. And that's what's going to happen. I think it's already happening with accounting, right? I mean, look at how into it, all we do. Well, I used to sit for hours with my accountant and just saying, okay, this came in from here and this came in from here. Well, now everything is into it. I put all my documentation in and boom, 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 it's done. He's still
Yep.
charging me a lot of money, but okay, there you go. That's fine. It's once a year. I'll take that hit. That's fine. So I think it's going to, yes, you're right. For medical also, and
Oh yeah.
look, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not going to give anyone financial advice. I am not a doctor. I am not going to give anyone a doctor's advice. But if you have a cancer, then you have the right to be on AI to ask the AI the questions that you want, that you don't necessarily want, that the doctors, it's an interesting thing, right? Doctors want to do surgery, doctors want you to be better, but what if you could ask the AI, my family has a history of breast cancer, what can I do to reduce my risks, right? And instead of going to your doctor and your doctor's looking at the clock saying, hey, I have a next appointment, you can sit there for a day asking these questions to AI. And here's the thing, I haven't used Google in 6 months. There's no reason for me to use Google. There's not, I have specific questions that I need answered. I don't need to read an article that's only going to give me one part of that answer. I have a question, I want the answer. I use ChatGPT.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pulling multiple resources to
Yeah.
get you. I like that. I like that. That's great. That's absolutely great. Did you tell me you had have a giveaway for our audience?
Well, I do. So first of all, they can go to Halyard.consulting, and I have what's called the Halyard AI Readiness Survey. And so that is just a simple, I think it's 15 questions. Most of it is just very basic about your company. And
Yeah.
then I will individually, because I'm able to do this so quickly, anyone who goes on to Halyard.consulting and clicks that AI Readiness Survey button and fills it out will get a report from me as to how AI can benefit your company. And of course, it'll have how I can help you, right? That's part of that whole thing. Then I'm about to wrap up my book. I've started this
Congratulations.
book a couple of months ago, and it's just going to the editors now. And that will be available on Amazon, and it'll be available on my website. And I would say sign up for the newsletter and find out when that's coming out. So yeah, it's those two things.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And we're going to make sure we get those in the show notes so everybody knows when it goes live. And if you can get us like a copy of the cover of the book, we'll certainly put that out there too.
For you, signed and delivered.
I appreciate it, man. You're awesome.
Fantastic, Rick.
Cool, man. This has been great. Is there anything you want to say to our audience before we wrap up?
You have to believe in yourself. That's the most critical thing. You have to, with the caveat of listen to other people also. If you have an idea and it's a little bit out there, and people are telling you it's a little bit out there, maybe now isn't the right time for that idea. But if you're in the service industry, if you're, creating a dance studio, creating a chef program, or you're going to do YouTube or something like that, if your bills are paid and now you're jumping into entrepreneurship, you will be successful as long as you believe in yourself. And the other big important thing is, again, and I said this at the top of the show, there's money out there, right? There is, first of all, if you're in a diverse set, if you are of diversity in America, and you're particularly in the Northeast, the resources are incredible. The federal resources, the state resources, the city resources, especially if you're diverse, you have so much available to you. It's incredible. And if you're not from diversity, hopefully you have equity in your house. Hopefully you have friends and family that can help bolster you during this time. But it has been my experience. I am a member of the LGBTQ community, and it is really amazing. I just received my NGLCC certification. I just started with Start Out, and I'm just now, as of today, just submitted my documentation for LGBTQ inclusion for New Jersey. So there's a lot of opportunity for that. And let me say this, if you're not from a diversification like that, if you're not African American or of a minority, then you should find a nice partner and you should give them 51% of your company.
That's awesome, Jonathan.
Absolutely.
Jonathan, thank you so much for being on the show. Loved having you. This has been great. I'm educated. I'm more confident. I'm going to go
This
out
was
and
great, Rick. This was
work
great.
on some stuff. And I think our audience will as well.
Get that money. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Awesome, man. Have a great one.
You too.